I think the most common thought about this is those individuals were kind of strange and quirky, so that's why they didn't have many friends. But today, for just a moment, I want you to try on the perspective that they may have only been able to achieve the incredible things they did because they were alone. Welcome to the Love Your Brain podcast, the podcast designed for everyday people who are ready to hop off the negative thought hamster wheel and enjoy a less hostile environment in their own brains. Our brains are where we live our entire lives, and I'm on a mission to help people see that they have everything they need to make it a happier place to be. So join us for this episode of the Love Your Brain podcast. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Love Your Brain podcast, or welcome if you're new. This week, we are going to dive deep into the hidden advantage of being alone and why it could be your brain's greatest environment to tap into your hidden genius. This came up recently in a conversation with a friend who has a teenager who just doesn't feel like they fit in. We've heard this story before, right? Like so many teens experience this feeling of isolation when they can't find the group that they fit into well. And our brain's first inclination is to feel really sad. We're like, man, that is a bummer. I know what that feels like. And our inclination is to try and fix this discomfort for the other person. That's just how our brains work. And although community and closeness with others is so important for our brains and for our development for all people, for so many reasons, we often don't see what's happening to the human brain when not engaged heavily with others or even isolated in some ways from others. But we can see it in some of the most notable people in our history. Take Van Gogh, that incredible art that he is famous for. It was made during one of the most socially isolating times in his life, when the only person he was really talking to was his brother. Or Marie Curie, who won the Nobel Peace Prize in the early 1900s for her scientific discoveries. She was known as being an introvert. She didn't surround herself with many people. Or even Isaac Newton, who quite literally discovered the law of gravity. He never had any romantic partners and not many friends either. He very much kept to himself. I think the most common thought about this is those individuals were kind of strange and quirky, so that's why they didn't have many friends. But today, for just a moment, I want you to try on the perspective that they may have only been able to achieve the incredible things they did because they were alone. But before we go deep on this topic, let me circle back to that friend with the teenager who doesn't have a lot of friends. Now, this is a story we hear a lot, right? That awkward teen who can't figure out where they quite fit in. But the truth is, aloneness doesn't just happen to isolated teens, it happens at all stages of life. It happens whenever an individual experiences a transition of any sort, or during times of change in general. There's a shift that happens that can bring on a sense of aloneness. Whether you're changing jobs, moving homes, really any change usually requires a period of transition. And during this time, relationships are being redefined or shifted, and it takes a moment for everything to kind of fall into place and for you to have an understanding of what your new community is or what your new supports are going to look like. And we often see this and feel pain for people, right? Even when we see others go through it, that feeling of isolation. But today, let's go on a little time travel adventure with two teenagers with very different experiences so that I can illustrate a concept I'll be sharing at the end of this episode. So make sure you stick around to the end because we're going to have a little bit of a science lesson here. So today I'm going to let you borrow my special glasses. These special glasses are going to let you zoom out over an entire lifetime of two different teenagers and how their stories evolve. You'll be able to see human behavior at a bigger level and how that impacts an individual's development and how their gifts are unlocked or kept undiscovered. So let's start by first looking at that teenager that feels alone, that doesn't fit into any group. What we see first is a lack of connection, the lack of feeling like they belong, the lack of definition of who they are in that moment. Then on the other end, we see a teenager who has a solid friend group. Maybe they have a big family, maybe they're surrounded by people, they're involved in sports or other extracurricular activities. They're surrounded by people that love them. Looks great and wonderful. But with our special glasses on for a moment that will allow us to zoom out and look over an entire lifetime, let's take a look first at the ideal scenario, the one teen who is always surrounded by people. They're popular, they have lots of friends, they hang out with people regularly, or just have a lot of siblings or family around them. It sounds very warm and fuzzy, and it is in a lot of ways. But when you're zooming out, you can see that the way the human brain works is when you are in a tight knit circle like this, conformity becomes a big deal. There is this pressure to look and act similar to those you identify with. You begin to subconsciously try to act like those you see around you, which unfortunately can mean missing a whole lot of your own uniqueness, a lot that makes you special and different. Maybe these things would seem strange to that group of friends or even your family, and that creates a barrier to that individual's magic. Our caveman brain tells us don't be different because you may not be accepted. And in this circumstance, that's a big risk. And as time goes on, those little pings that pop into our brains that could lead us down a very unique path begin to get ignored because it doesn't fit easily into what we see around us. Now we're going to look at the other end of the spectrum, at the teen who is alone. They feel like they don't fit in, they don't spend a ton of time with friends or family. Up close, this looks really sad, and you can easily identify the cons to this situation. But when we zoom way out on this person's whole lifetime, you may see something that you don't expect. You may see a person who has a lot less that they are comparing themselves to. This might be a teen who tries out playing an instrument they never expected to play and decides they really like it, and so they start playing hours and hours a day by themselves, and one day are in a popular band. Or it's a teen that starts creating unique art and just goes really deep in trying to perfect this art form. Maybe it's with paper clips, who knows? And one day they sell their work for millions of dollars. Or they're the teen that starts streaming while playing their favorite video game and gains a huge following. Or the teen that binge watches Korean dramas and realizes they can learn languages really easy and goes on to learn many languages and travels and is a huge prominent figure one day. What's happening in all these scenarios is these individuals, or teens in this case, have two factors working in their favor to unlock their genius. They have space and they have time. They have the space to explore their passions and talents without the constant comparison of seeing what others around them are doing or the pressure to conform to the standards of the people in close proximity to them. And they have the time to dig deep into those things that spark their interest in a way that often doesn't happen when someone's time is consumed with spending time with others and often going with the flow of what others want to do. There is magic that every individual has that isn't always unlocked as easily when in close knit groups 24/7. Now, there are downsides to isolation. People can feel, of course, lots of emotions associated with being isolated. I am not blind to those. But I do think often those scenarios where at first glance we see the bad, there is often some hidden good we have not unlocked. And I think the idea of being alone is a huge one we leave untapped. If you are in a season where you are often alone, it's easy to get into that woe is me trap where you're just spending time wishing things were different, envying people who are closely connected to a group of people. But if we can take our special glasses and zoom out, and see what a gem of an opportunity that this is, it might actually help us to unlock our own hidden genius in a way that we may have never expected, no matter our age. I've even seen elderly people realize that once their life slows down, many of their friends and family have passed away, and they decide they're really going to go into a new interest they've never tried before, one that they would have never even explored before because of social expectations of the group that they associated with. But now that they're pretty much on their own and navigating life alone, they feel they have the freedom to do these things and they unlock their own hidden genius. But the key here is I want you to remember is that the hidden advantage here is time and space. But if you're a visual person like me, let me paint a bit of an energetic picture for you. And this will also help you to see the science behind all of this as well. Picture that first teen we talked about, surrounded by all those people in the circle around them, their family, their friends, maybe teammates. All those people make a circle around them. Now, the positives of this circle is that there's a lot of energy being exchanged back and forth between individuals. This is what makes life feel full and happy. But if you look at the other side of this, energetically being surrounded by all of that energy, it means that on all sides, you have pressure pushing in on that person in the middle. Their expectations, comparison, the agendas of other people in that circle, they're all energetically pushing in on that person in the middle. With all of this energy bopping around, and pushing in on them, usually subconsciously, that person doesn't even necessarily expand energetically like they might be able to if they didn't have that pressure pushing in. Think of flowers. If flowers are planted super tight together, it's very hard for them when they come up out of the ground to bloom large and take up space because in order to do that, they would have to put in a ton of effort to push out against everything growing around them. So instead, we actually space them out specifically so that they have room to expand and bloom big, much like this scenario with this person in this large group around them. Another thing is that energetically with this group is that all of this bouncing energy around them is almost like noise. It's a distraction. It's a distraction from all of the hidden things inside of that individual in the middle that they don't even have the time and space to explore because there's so much bopping energy around that's pulling their attention away. So again, we see this person in the middle with all these people around them is lacking the time and space to explore their own hidden genius and really be able to go deep with what makes them unique and special. Now, if we look at the other teen without a large support system who's fairly isolated, well, energetically, they don't have too many people in that circle around them, which means there's less energy being exchanged, which, of course, is a downside. But also, they have less energetic pressure surrounding them, trying to get them to conform to certain standards or even taking their attention away from their own interests. They have a lot more freedom with time and space to explore what interests them and really become great at that. They can bloom wide and they can bloom deep. So, hopefully, this little energetic illustration helps you to see on a different level the difference of being alone versus being surrounded by people. There are good and bad to both. But truthfully, I do believe every person on this planet is born with hidden genius in some area. But really, what allows that to be unlocked is the space and time to explore and dig deep. And I'm sure some of you are thinking, well, I'm not going to be an inventor or win the Nobel Peace Prize. But really, how do you know you won't? Even Van Gogh didn't even make the art that made him famous until the last few years of his life. But also, on a daily level, this doesn't have to be earth shattering. You don't have to become a recluse in order to unlock your hidden genius. But number one, it does allow you to see that if you are in a season of being alone, there are things that you can unlock. This is a tool for you. Being alone is a tool to unlock your hidden genius. And truthfully, for every person, this can be unlocked in even really small moments every day. Have you ever seen an ad for something and been like, wow, that looks really cool or fun to try? But you know what? My friends would probably not be into that, or my family would think that was so weird. Well, what if you decided to give it a whirl all on your own? See what unlocks for you. Or maybe you want to try out a new restaurant and you don't know anyone that would enjoy it. Instead, you decide, you know what, I'll just go alone. I'll give it a whirl. Or maybe you've always wanted to travel somewhere, but you don't have anyone in your life that's available or interested to go on that with you. Why not go it alone? See what unlocks for you. I always say if something draws your attention, there is a reason. Don't ignore even those small pulls. Explore them and see where they lead to, even if it means doing it alone. There is so much we don't know about the hidden magic in each person, but I can assure you that your unique passions and interests are way more important than most people realize, not just to your own satisfaction and fulfillment in life, but also to the world as a whole. What you unlock in exploring your passions could lead to huge advances for the world. You just don't ever know. So, if you're in a season of feeling alone and missing out on relationships that you wish you had, try and see how you can also use this tool to your advantage. How will you take advantage of the time and space to explore what makes you unique and special and what only you can bring to this world? And if you are someone that's in a lonely season yourself and this helped you, comment on whatever platform you're listening to and let me know. I'd love to hear from you. All right. Have a great week, guys. I hope you found something helpful here today on the Love Your Brain podcast. Maybe a laugh or a feeling of validation, or maybe just a few moments to have company while you do your laundry. Whatever you take from it, I hope you enjoyed your time and leave feeling empowered to be more you every day. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on the next episode, and leave a review. I'd love to hear what you think. Have a great one.